The recent suspension of Draymond Green, as well as the play around the team, has done nothing but highlight that we're seeing the death of a dynasty, a great dynasty at that. We're going to talk about, have we seen the last of a great run from the Golden State Warriors? We're going to get into all this and more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. I'm the host here, Haize, holding it down for the team, but most importantly, make sure you guys go and follow the channel at NBA Central Show on every single social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into the content for a while. So it's been a while since I've dropped a video here over at NBA Central, and I know the guys already talked about the Draymond Green suspension, and that's crazy enough as it is. Draymond is going through some stuff, and he needs to just realize he has to calm the hell down, and he's hurting his team. And that's really what it comes down to with this whole Golden State Warriors thing, and Draymond is the biggest thing is that he is hurting his team right now, and that is just not going to cut it, right? The best ability in basketball or in a lot of sports is availability. And when you're unavailable for your team because you're just being a hothead, this has nothing to do with any injury. You are just being a hothead. That's a bit of a worrying issue. But outside of just the Draymond Green of it all, right? When you look at the last few seasons for the Golden State Warriors, while they won the title in the 2021-22 season, they had a 53-29 record that year. Last year, 44-38, not really. And then they couldn't win on the road at all to save their lives. It was probably one of the worst performances from that team you saw in the playoffs over the course of this team being together. So far, they're 3 games below 500 on the season as of the recording of this video. But I think when it comes down to it, we are seeing a dynasty drop down badly. Now, when you look at the team winning 4 titles over 10 years, right, and 3 of those over the course of 4 years, you can't really take a lot of that away from what this team has been able to accomplish, right? And nobody is saying by any stretch of the imagination that it's time to just write off the Golden State Warriors like they can't be a team to still do damage. They're right now 11th in the Western Conference. We know that this Golden State Warriors team has typically been a team that has figured out some things on the fly and has maybe even played better in the second half of the season. They're also a veteran team that understands they've been there before. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see a much different team much different results from this team after the All-Star break, because that's something that we've seen before. When it comes down to this is also a team that's made big changes to their rotation over time. And, it comes down to it, right? Now, last year, it was a little bit of an anomaly in that case, right? They were 15-8 before Christmas, and they were under 500 as late as February 23rd, but still finished as the number 5 seed. So this is still a team that can get some things done, and we've seen it happen before, but it doesn't really seem like they have the same oomph that they've had in previous years, and it just seems like when I say in the title of this video, so the Golden State Warriors dynasty is over, it's over as we know it as far as being that dominant team that just teams had that you feared playing the Golden State Warriors. That's not the case anymore for this Golden State Warriors team. I don't really think anybody's really fearing them at all. Again, 4 titles over 10 years and 3 in 4 years. You can't overlook what they've been able to do. But when you look at the big 3 of Steph, Klay, and Draymond, nobody's wearing fear of them anymore. Steph Curry can still shoot the lights out. Absolutely. Nobody's taking that away from him. But Klay Thompson has struggled with health and performance and things like that for a while, right? He's been on the downturn for a while. And watching Klay Thompson play right now, he's not the same player that he was before. And that's understandable. Listen, he had a major injury. They were able to still come back and win a title after that injury. He's shown some flashes. It's not like he's a terrible player at all. He's averaging 15.4 points per game, but that's a far cry from what we've come to look at Klay Thompson, a player that in every season of his career has shot the ball over 43% from the field, except this year he's shooting 39% from the field. And then when you look at three-point shooting, a career 41% from three-point maker, he's 34%, almost 7 percentage points below what he usually takes. He's still taking 7.8, which is, toward the lower end of it. Well, he averages 7.4 for his career, but make no mistake about it, Klay Thompson is not performing at the way that we have seen in his career, and it's taking a step down even from last year. As many people talked about Klay Thompson not playing well last season, he played 69 games and still averaged 21 points per game in that time, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. He still was out here putting up numbers. I won't say balling, but he was putting up numbers. But that's just not the same way that you view or look at Klay Thompson anymore. And then Draymond, even we know that Draymond has been on a downturn statistically for a while now, but Dre, while he's hugely important to what that team does and the success that he has, it's just not the same. And while the future of this Golden State Warriors, after that championship, people were looking at it like, hey, they got a bright future. They got Wiggins, they got Kuminga, they got at that point Jordan Poole, who has been terrible this year. And it's certain things that have definitely changed with this team that you're looking at, and you're just saying, I just don't see. Now, never overlook the Golden State Warriors to do something surprising. They got Chris Paul's contract there, who they can easily look to flip at anything during the trade deadline if there's a disgruntled star or a team that's looking to do some different things. But when it comes down to it, you just got to look at this Golden State Warriors team and look at it and say, this is a team that made some decisions. And it's bad. Right now, this team is not going. Listen, when you have players over 30 like you do in Steph Curry at 35, I think, years old, when you have players like that, there's gonna be a fall off. And Steph is still playing ball, like averaging 29 points per game. So I'm not even necessarily just pointing this towards Steph Curry, because he is still finding a way. And when you have that range that he has, he's always going to put up numbers. But Klay Thompson being 33 years old, falling off a cliff. We talked about him statistically, right? Not even nearly the player that he was before. You look at Draymond Green, him also being 33 years old, putting up 9 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, about 6 assists, shooting it at 49% from the field. It was never really the biggest statistical stuff for him, but we know that Dre has been on a downturn for the better part of like 3 or 4 years at this point. This team is also not staying as healthy as what they were before. And overarching, we are just seeing a team and a former dynasty come to the end. We are witnessing a team at the end of their dynasty. And for what it's worth, appreciate what we got. They changed the game of basketball in many ways. And you don't want to take away from what they were able to do in that case. They changed how basketball is played, even though some people are going to definitely say that was a change for the worst of basketball, not just in the NBA, but basketball in general, with the highlight of three-pointers and stuff like that. But whatever this Golden State Warriors team is going to be, let's see if they start kind of building a plan for the future. Wiggins, definitely probably part of their future so much. It's not like he's a spring chicken either, but this is a team that also hasn't drafted the best in the last few years, right? Hasn't been like that. The offseason moves that they made to try to, do some things just hasn't worked in the way that they would do it. The defense isn't quite the same as what it was ever before. So at the end of the day, like, even you seeing Klay Thompson bench versus the Suns, like this is what you see. And when with teams like the Bulls that were able to, kind of, Jordan retired and rode off into the sunset, they broke that team up, things like that. It just comes down to this, is that the Golden State Warriors, as we knew them, is done. It just is done. Draymond's out of control. You got some problems around there. They need to figure out some better rotations with that team as well. But I think overall, the Golden State Warriors are just, the roster is what it is to this point. And unless somebody just wants to come to Golden State and throws the Warriors some bail, it's going to be a tough season for the Golden State Warriors. Now, I would love nothing more than to make a video after the trade deadline, closer to the playoffs, and we're talking about a Golden State Warriors team that's turned some things around. But I, for one, don't necessarily see that happening. But you guys can let me know what you think, as always, down below. Make sure you're following the show at NBA Central Show on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Pod at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail, number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything basketball related. And I see you guys the next time I feel like making a video. Probably tomorrow. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.